Evening, folks. R1 here. This is just something for fun. I had noticed tonight that they were having a Duel event that they were doing on the War Thunder server, and it was dedicated to the Bf109. Only various Bf109 models were allowed to participate, which was interesting, and I thought, this is a good opportunity just to throw into the mix for experimentation's sake. The Bf109 E-3 that was sold in 1941 to the Japanese government as part of their technology exchange program. To be perfectly honest, the Japanese weren't that interested in the airplane itself. As a matter of fact, it was flown unarmed. They were, however, interested in taking a look at the Daimler-Benz engine, the original German engine that was part of that aircraft. They were just getting ready to start production of their own licensed version of that engine, and probably wanted to see if the plans they got for that engine measured up to the real thing. Anyway, it gives you a German Bf109 as part of the Japanese tree. And I thought, well, what the heck? Let's just throw it in there for comparison's sake. The stats look like they compare very similarly, identically, with the Bf109 E3 that the Germans fly, but still, you never know. And I decided I was going to go ahead and take it up and just throw it into the mix and see what happened. Now, this particular Duel event is kind of unique. Number one, it's in arcade mode, which means it has a very forgiving flight model, and you can go a little crazy and kind of play a bullet hose type of gameplay there, since you get automatic reloads. The planes are more durable than normal. You can get away with things you can't get away with flying realistic mode. And frankly, I don't fly arcade all that often anymore, so it took me a little while to get used to this. The aircraft in question that I was flying was up against later model Bf109s as well, quite often. And frankly, the two wing-mounted 20mm cannons, the MGFF cannons that are equipped on this airplane are not ideal. They're, in my opinion, not a very good 20mm cannon. You get a lot of flashes, you get a lot of hits that just don't seem to do a whole lot. But when they do connect solidly, they can do the job. They're augmented by a pair of 7.92mm MG-17 machine guns. There's only two of them in the nose. They don't do a lot, to be perfectly honest. But you can set an aircraft on fire with them occasionally. Well, needless to say, I struggled a bit at first, trying to get in the hang of it. The dual mode also only has 4 pilots on each side, which means the engagements happen very quickly. You start out very close together, and that puts a different spin on things. They also throw in a couple of AI pilots as well. I immediately tried to gain altitude at the beginning of this fight, and managed to get on this guy's tail. And did reasonably well. I could have done better. I will find in later fights that my tactic of gaining altitude like I normally would in this aircraft, in this particular setting is not necessarily the best option. It slows you down, and it sometimes sets you up. Your opponents have a tendency to make their first attack runs, and then in the traditional boom and zoom attack style, head directly for whoever is in front of them after they make their first pass on the nearest aircraft, and often that would be me. Now, I had somebody on my tail at this point. Somehow he blew my engine, which is in the process of dying right now. I managed to do a pretty fair amount of damage, but now my engine's dead. So for me, this fight is effectively over. I try not to give up, though. I'm going to go ahead and dive out, try to keep my airspeed up, maybe lure this guy who is not leaving me alone. Maybe lure him into making a mistake next to this cliff. And he sort of does. He overshoots and cuts in front of me. So I have one shot, maybe at revenge. I'm going to take my best shot. I hit him, but I don't have enough airspeed to continue, obviously. But still, it was my first battle. I could have done worse. Still trying to get the hang of the aircraft and the game mode itself at this point. And it ends up being the exact same airplane I'm flying that ends up taking me out. So there you go. This match started out in heavy cloud cover, which can have its advantages and its disadvantages, obviously. Go ahead and I start gaining altitude again, as I'm used to doing, and it has mixed results again. Now, just on a flyby, he cut right in front of me. That was an AI pilot. So I went ahead and I took my shots at him because he was there, for no other reason. Otherwise, I wouldn't have really gone after him. Unfortunately, in the thick cloud cover, I end up with someone behind me. And I try and dive out immediately. Taking hits, getting chewed up already. The cloud cover worked against me in this case. And I start trying to evade wildly. And as I come around, I realize it's not just one guy that has singled me out. There's two of them. Lovely. Thanks, guys. I've already got one wing that is badly damaged at this point. I'm still flying. I'm not very maneuverable, but I'm still in the air. It is arcade mode, so you can stay up a lot longer than you would in realistic, or I'm assuming simulator mode, too. So I decide, well, we're not going to give up. We're going to keep trying to contribute to our team. I cannot evade this fella behind me. And I've got another black wing now. I'm maneuvering like a brick. But I decide I'm going to do my best to keep pouring fire at this fella that I am managing to keep in front of me more or less. Doing what I can. Well, I at least got a kill assist out of that. I really didn't even expect to get that much, as badly shot up as I was. The fellow who's behind me, however, is not going away. He's still behind me, determined to take me out before the end of the match. He's the last pilot left. And I do the only thing I can. I pull him back toward my teammates. And fortunately, they managed to take him out for me. And we secured that match. No thanks to me, to be perfectly honest. Now, I kept finding that, often because I was lagging behind the other pilots, that I would get pulled into these head-on engagements as well. The problem with that is, some of these Bf109s I was going up against are much more heavily armed, with better cannons, and often more cannons than I have, having a couple of wing pods slung underneath the wings in addition to their other cannons. I was simply outgunned. And in a head-on engagement, with the cannons and other armament that I had, well, 2 or 3 times in a row, it just didn't end very well. As you can see, I didn't come out very good in that particular engagement right there. Eventually, I get it through my head that doing this is going to have that result. So I decided that I was going to do a couple of things differently. Number one, I was going to try my best to keep my speed up. I was still going to pull back a little bit. I wasn't the biggest, baddest boy out there, so I loop around at the beginning of the match, but more to pick my engagements. And I keep my speed up as best as I possibly can, rather than waste all my speed in gaining altitude. The engagement range is so close at first that just wasn't paying off for me. So I keep my speed up, and I realize I'm as maneuverable or more maneuverable than everything else that I'm up against. Because I'm lighter armed, I can whip around and maneuver better than a lot of these guys. So I decided to put that to use. I take some shots there, get a critical in. Eventually that guy is going to go down. And then do my best to leverage my maneuverability that I have and use that as my main strength. So I get on this guy's tail and I stick to him like glue. Now I've managed to do a little bit of damage with my machine guns, waiting for my cannons to reload, which is a pleasant change of pace. And I almost get taken out by a guy as a target of opportunity for someone engaged in another dogfight entirely. And that was kind of a close one. But we managed to survive it and continue to go after this guy. He's cutting his speed. He's trying to stall out and get behind me. He's also taking pot shots at one of my teammates. My cannons are reloaded and I'm able to unload on him. Criticaled him already, and I'm able to set him on fire. And even in arcade mode, that's a bit much to recover from. He is going to go down. I've chosen my next target, and I have a teammate who's working on him as well, which is going to complicate the situation quite a bit. Working my machine guns, I'm having to really be careful to not damage my teammate or take him out as well. I managed to sneak in some shots, stop, my cannons are reloaded, I'm able to get the shot in just past the wingtip of my teammate and take him out. And there's my next target, dead ahead. I check the position of my teammates, they're well behind me. As I swing around to look at this fellow again, he's going to try and pull me into a head-on. All I have right now, well, this isn't going to end well if I don't pull out, which I do. I managed to get some damage in and peel away at the last moment. I'd learned my lesson. Almost got suckered in again, but ended up getting out of there with my hide intact. Yes, I'm spraying bullets all over the place, but hey, arcade mode. I managed to hit him and critical him, but not before he takes out my last teammate. This guy's actually pretty good. Even with a critical hit, he's bobbing and weaving pretty well. So I follow him down, and he's doing the arcade wobble. He's obviously a mouse user. It's arcade mode. He's bobbing the mouse back and forth as quick as he can. In essence, he's really going to be a pain in the ass to hit. So I put a few more shots into him and just pull away. It irritates me when people do that to me. It's kind of exploiting the game mechanics there. Nothing against him, I've done it myself, but it's annoying. So I pull away to get a clean run at him, line him up, and there he goes. So it took me a while to figure out the strengths of this aircraft. I don't fly Bf109s very often at all, and particularly not in arcade mode. But after a little experimentation, learning what to do and what not to do, it ended up not being too bad. It was kind of fun. I kind of find that I enjoy these little duel matches. They're usually fast and brutal, but you have to play them a little bit different than even your typical arcade mode battle. And that's okay. It's different, and it's kind of fun. So it comes down to, well, would I recommend picking up this little premium aircraft? It's not bad. If you enjoy flying Bf109s, and you do well with them, particularly this particular model, sure, you know, if you have a little spare cash to throw at it. It does have the advantage of putting you into some rather interesting matches in realistic mode. You find yourself up against a bit different mix of enemy aircraft occasionally because you're flying for the Japanese instead of the Germans. And that gives you some variety that you don't normally get flying a Bf109. So, I'm not a huge fan of this plane, but it's not bad. And it can be kind of interesting. It's certainly a challenge. I'll leave it at that and let you make up your own mind on it. You folks have a good night, and as always, good hunting.